So hello everyone, my name is Alvina. I'm the Secretariat for IAB Hong Kong. So today's we have a few guests here with us coming from the brand side. In the last few days, we have actually gone through um, uh, the whole ecosystem of marketing, and brands are actually on top of the whole ecosystem because it's usually the marketers who will have the needs to place advertisement that will drive business to agencies and AdTech company, because marketers are the ones who have the budget to decide what kind of product and service they want to promote to the audience. So and today we'll be talking into more details. Before I start introduce the speakers, I would like to introduce IB Hong Kong again for those who don't know us. IB Hong Kong, we are a professional association. Hope to make the most out of the digital. So we do run a series of educational courses and different thought leadership networking events. Hope to bring up the standard for the industry. And so far, we have about 100 members who come from different parts of the ecosystem, from brands to AdTech to media to platforms to agencies, you name it, it's all here. And so we are relatively representative for the digital marketing industry. And here I would like to let you know about our apprenticeship program that we have designed this year. Hope to give everyone a jumpstart in the digital marketing world by offering you work experience program and also some online courses and coaching. Especially, we have arranged some office visit to give you some exposure to what the real world looks like. We'll be visiting View TV. And at the end of the program, you'll be getting a certificate. And the list of employers are below. You can see we do have a good range here, from PR agency to creative to social agencies to brands. So it will be a lot. We have over 30 placements. So don't miss out. Submit your CV with us today at bit.ly IBHK Apprentice. So stop making everyone wait. So let's get started. Today's topic is gearing up for digital corporate challenge. And here we have Charles Lai, who will be our moderator, and he comes from our education committee. So welcome, Charles. So can I have you to introduce the panelists for us?
Yes, thank you so much, Ovina. We're so glad to have these two amazing speakers with us today. The two panelists we have, first of all, panelist one, we have Kevin Huang, who is the head of Birdie Mobile. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about Birdie in a minute. And we have Leonard here as well, who is the Senior Digital Marketing Manager for Cigna. So I think before we kickstart the actual discussion, shall we spend a minute or two so that you can actually tell us a little bit more about yourselves and what you do and how digital marketing actually relates to your role in your organizations, please?
Leonard, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, so I will first go ahead and introduce myself. So I'm Leonard. I have been actually in the digital marketing area for around 10 years. And for all 10 years, I have been working in the financial services industry. So it includes some banking organizations and mainly insurance companies. Right now, I am working at Cigna as a senior digital marketing manager there, responsible for media acquisition, driving leads and sales for the company. So happy to be here today. Hopefully we can share more later. And now I think it's the time to pass it back to Kevin. Your turn.
Sure, thank you. Actually, this is very embarrassing because when Leonard says he's been in digital for 10 years, I feel I have to tell how long I've been in digital. And I've actually been digital marketing for 24 years. And so wow. It was actually my first job out of university, landed in a digital marketing or digital advertising company. Fast forward 24 years. I'm actually head of a company called Birdie Mobile. It is a digital-only mobile operator. So we do away with a lot of very traditional telecom services, things that go with the telecom business, and we primarily operate on online. So when you sign up with Birdie, it's actually through our app. The whole subscription end to end is actually done through our mobile app. So digital marketing is very, very important to us. I cannot stress the importance of it because it's the only way we sell our product. So unlike other operators who actually have a shop and they have what we call direct sales, we have none of those things. So it is 100% of our sales source, and we rely on it.
Thank you both. So without further ado, let's get started. So for the first question, we have, since we have the both of you, one from a middle management, one from top management perspective, how do you actually see the current digital marketing and the current lineup of talents available? How you envision this perfect digital marketing department within your organization? How does these two actually matching up right now?
So maybe I'll take this first. Like I said before, digital marketing is super, super important to us because we're a digital-only brand, or in a lot of businesses, what they coin as direct to consumer. And so that's one of the ways, one of the many ways that we use to get, first of all, our brand out there. Second of all, our acquisition, and we use a lot of different tools and levers, all using digital for what we call retention. New customer acquisition and that kind of stuff. Now, having said that, digital is super important. I do say that we also use a fair bit of out-of-home advertising. So we see our two main medias as out-of-home advertising and digital marketing, and that's usually a 70-30 split. So 70% on digital, the 30% on brand building the top of the funnel and all that kind of stuff. So, but just for context, right? Because we operate on digital only, we use digital marketing acquisition cost. And when we do comparisons with a traditional telco, we find that our cost of acquisition is a lot lower. That's very important. That's sales, right? Every business needs to rely on that. Number two, we are also calculating from a senior management perspective. I manage P&L, so we are also managing costs, which is super important. And I think the big conversation that we've had in the last 2 years, and even more in the last year, is how do we consistently lower cost of sale? And we found that the Birdie model, which is reliant on digital, works very well. And so our cost to serve a customer is multiple times lower than a very traditional retail kind of business where you have shops, you have salespeople, you have all these different things that go with it. So, that's how we see digital marketing. And this is not just at the Birdie level. It is at my parent company level. It is also at our holding company level, which is a very traditional property company, one of the largest in Hong Kong. So I know at that board level, they are having, almost every board meeting, they talk about how is digital going to drive the future of our business, not just in telecoms, but in the conglomerate. So from property to shopping malls to supermarkets, they own quite a lot of stuff. So that's a huge, huge conversation in terms of digital and digital marketing. If we talk about talent, it's a good question, good timely one, because I'm actually in the midst of doing a fair bit of interviews in the last month or so. So we're hiring again, and we're picking up a lot of middle management. Some are slightly junior positions. And so this is on top of mind, and I am impressed. So I take it to meet a lot of candidates, and a lot of candidates that I've met are very impressive in the sense that even though they're kind of green, right? I mean, like they maybe work like 2 years in a corporate job somewhere, but actually the digital marketing experience or the digital experience spans like 10 years. Because I was talking to some girl, and she is actually helping. The family has a little business, and it's like a bakery. So her mom's like baking, right? And her dad is like the delivery guy. And she is the person in charge of social media marketing. And what they do is they have an Instagram shop. And so when I was telling her, like, how do you take the pictures? How do you do all this? I mean, she was telling us, the hashtags and the creative. And so, a lot of it, I think, is just experimenting yourself. You can try it on your own IG page. I mean, if you take it more seriously, then it's like a hobby kind of thing. But it's very impressive. So That's one good example, but there are a lot that have very similar examples where they're like maybe their own KOL, right? Or there's something. So I think there's a good pool of talent out there. And with so much resources available at literally your fingertips, you just got to go try something different. Just try it, right? I mean, you know, if you want to do Facebook advertising, you know what? Spend 100 Hong Kong dollars, open an account, and boost your own page and see what happens. You know, after all, it's $100. It's like paying $100 tuition fee for an online course.
Yes, I definitely agree on that. Let's try. Everyone should at least spend about $100 and try something on Facebook, shall we?
Yeah.
So can we have your view as well, please, Leonard?
Sure. Yeah, I actually echo with what Kevin just said. Digital marketing is definitely getting more and more important. And also, I would say digital marketing is also in everybody's everyday's life. I think Kevin's example on opening up an IG shop, I think that's a lot of people, especially the youngsters, what they're doing it right now. A lot of them, they open up a YouTube account or IG account to sell something, maybe a handmade stuff, they sell it online. So actually, the skill set is there. I think a lot of youngsters, they get the skills, they get skills in taking pictures, definitely better than I do. And also they can write their own creative. So definitely digital marketing is in everybody's everyday's life, I would say. And especially under COVID, I would say it actually accelerate the demand for digital marketing. And a lot of companies are actually trying to go through a digital transformation to make the company more digital friendly. And this can actually means a lot of things at the workplace. If you're going for a job, you can actually see people at their company, how digital actually changed the way they work together, how they communicate with each other, and even digitizing the workflow they have, and also to reach out to the customers using different digital touch points. And since digital has become, I would say, every part of the organization, it's very important to get the requirement and the know-how of digital marketing in the future. And of course, speaking of my own experience, I have been doing digital marketing in a financial service company for a while. And the core responsibility I have is still to leverage the digital media channels to communicate effectively and precisely to the consumers. And this involves like crafting a right message with a right visual, and also having a right touch point to speak to the customer. And what's special about digital marketing is it has a way to measure the success of the campaign and ROI. And to be honest, this is what I do every day. And to me, this measurement part and the digital placement part will always stay in the discipline of digital marketing. But I would say as a digital marketer, we will always have to equip ourselves with the latest digital solutions, because actually digital marketing or digital technology is evolving every day. It's actually moving very fast. Just take a look at, for example, our moderator Charles actually worked for Facebook, and they roll out so many new products every year. And it is so important for the digital marketers to catch up with the trend and to understand the latest digital solutions that help you and your organization work smarter and better. And I think that there is question on the requirement to get into digital marketing. I always think the willingness to learn, to acquire new skill set is the key. As I said, digital marketing evolves very quickly. So it's very important to keep abreast of all the new trends and news. And apart from a willingness to learn, I would say an analytical mindset is very important as well. In digital marketing, you can measure a lot of things, but how do you make sense of the data? How can you drive passion, to have passion, to be passionate about the data, and drive informed business decision using the data? So this analytical mindset is very important in digital marketing.
Yes, definitely agree that this always learning mindset is definitely very important, especially in digital. It's always changing. So thank you for sharing your answers for the first question. And I have a second question for you. Um, because we have the two of you, which had a very diverse career path here. So Kevin started your own ad tech business very early on in your career, while Leonard, you have gone through that traditional work your way up approach to your career. So could you tell us a little more what made you choose the path that you went for? And what kind of breakthrough did you find for yourself? Meaning how did you find business successes for as a business startup, or as a traditional work your way up approach career? How did you find your way to promotion? And if you do decide to give someone a promotion within your organization, what kind of qualities do you look for?
Yeah, maybe I can take this question first. To be honest, I still haven't decided which is the right path for me. I still have a lot to learn from different people. Perhaps I can learn a lot from Kevin as well. Maybe one day I will just get his input to start my own business. I am actually learning day by day from my fellow teammates and friends in the industry on how to build and create my own career, I will say. And I think everything is moving so fast in the digital age, and this create a lot of business opportunities, no matter you are creating your own company or working your way up the corporate ladder. But to me, yeah, I mean, I still try to find the right path, but I think looking past my career, definitely there are a lot of time that I have struggled with, and it's hard to break through. But I would say, like all other industries, you just face hurdles in your career, no matter what position you are in, or whether you are starting your own business, or being in a corporate. But I feel blessed to have great teammates and friends in the industry that I can actually learn from them and get the input from them when I'm stuck. To give you an example, like we always do the digital project in corporate, and usually a digital project, it will take time, it will take collaboration of different stakeholders, no matter internal or external stakeholders, like your IT department, legal and compliance, technology vendor, etc. And sometimes, and actually very often, I get stuck by either a technical requirement, or sometimes I get stuck by some human blockers. And honestly, it can be quite frustrating to be stuck in the middle of a project. You have to deliver. Hello, sorry,
Yep.
I got I got muted for some reason. Yeah, and yeah, and it can be frustrating sometimes, but there's time I reach out to a teammate who is very good at delivering complex project, and I just ask him, uh, uh, how do you actually deliver a lot of good projects out there? And he just say all he does is to break down a project into different small tasks, solve a particular task with a very specific people with their own expertise, and it's that simple, and it works. So I guess there are a lot of challenges or struggles that you will have to break through in your career, and there's no single formula to solve all the problems you are going to face in your career. But I think the simple tip I can give is to always observe what others are doing, learn from the peers, and reach out to them for help if needed. Uh, I think you definitely cannot do everything by your own. So definitely get help, get support from your peers, from your friends. And I think there is a question on how can my subordinate in their career to gain my recognition. Again, I think it goes back to how willing people want to learn. So a growth mindset are very important. That's the personality I value a lot. Never stop learning and testing new things. In digital marketing, the things work today may not work tomorrow, and the things don't work today may work tomorrow. So it's a never stop learning process, and you just have to keep testing and learning to get the new outcomes. And then a second equally important skill set would be problem solving. And like for my role, I'm responsible for like driving sales and leads for the company. And sometimes it's just very difficult to drive down the cost per lead, cost per sales, how to get this business growing. And you'll be able to identify the business challenge using data and solve the problem. And so I think these two skill set will be what I value most in my for my subordinates.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. And Kevin?
Excellent. So I agree with most of the things that Leonard said. But maybe I'll start with just sharing my non-traditional career path, right? I don't know how I got this way, but I've become a very non-traditional person. So actually, my career started when I was in Malaysia, and then I got it. My first job was working for a newspaper company, but in the internet division, selling what they call banner ads back then, right? And it was purely by chance because it was your first job. You know, you really didn't know out of university, you didn't really know what was going on. And, you know, I got an interview and they decided to hire me. So I stumbled into it. I found it to be pretty interesting. And then I moved to a company called DoubleClick. It was still in Malaysia back then. And, you know, a much larger company, but it was what they call an ad network model then, which was still very, very new back in 1999, 2000. And so I took on that challenge because I felt it was being more interesting. And I got a chance to move out here to Hong Kong. And then I got a chance to start my own company back then. So, you know, that was a 16-year career. I was an internet pioneer. I just started a business that, to be honest, back at that time, no one knew anything about online advertising. People were asking me, banner ads? What's that? Why should I buy banner ads? Like, you know, I'll just buy my TV ads and it works, right? And that was the mentality, but I don't mind it because everyone goes through that learning stage, and then the industry goes through that learning stage. Fast forward, that took me 16 years. I was very fortunate. I managed to exit the company, and then I decided to take a corporate job, and I'm now working for a very large, very traditional company. My first corporate job in 16, 17 years, right? Like I was the boss for 16 years, and today I have so many bosses. I chose to work in the hardest industry you can work in Hong Kong, which is selling SIM cards. Literally, it's the most competitive, right? No one in Hong Kong needs any more SIM cards. Everyone has 2.7 average SIM cards. And I work for a fairly traditional company. I mean, my parent company is Sanongay Properties, so it's a very traditional company. But I found that, you know, it's always that urge to want to learn different things, because I feel that there's always gaps in my career. So whilst I was very good at digital marketing and I served my clients and my agencies and my, you know, brands very well, I never really knew how to serve customers. Like, you know, at the peak, my business had maybe 300 customers. Today, we have hundreds and thousands of customers. So it's a very different scale. And, you know, how do we deal with a corporate mentality when it says invest more in digital or do less? So I feel what Leonard said is right. Always be learning, always be curious, and always try to plug gaps within your own knowledge skills. So that's my my non-traditional path, right? And God knows where it will take me next. In terms of like, you know, how do we identify people, my subordinates? How do we, you know, gain my recognition if I recommend them for a promotion, or how do I promote someone? I think it all goes down to whether you want to learn and you have the heart to learn. Success is actually 10% inspiration and 90% perspiration. And no matter what, I believe that's true. If you're willing to work hard, obviously you have to work smart, and you have the will to want to improve. I think that is super important, because I always feel that, you know, no one knows everything. What I knew about digital and marketing 12 months ago, before COVID, is irrelevant. A lot of the stuff is not relevant today. I'm not going to say all of it's not relevant, but I think half of it I threw out the door, and I relearned a lot of things in the past 12 months. So I look for people who are passionate. I look for people who have a heart and willing to learn and succeed. And I always say this, if you don't know Facebook marketing, if you don't know Google marketing, you don't know email marketing, it's okay. As long as you have a good attitude and you have that will, I will teach you, or someone will teach you. And if you can't, if it takes you 6 months to learn it, be it. We'll take 6 months to teach you. And so that's what I look for. From an employee perspective, I always look for people who will move one step further, do a little bit more, especially if you're a fresh graduate or you're new in the job market, right? Don't be shy to say, oh, this is his department, let him do it. This is my department, I'll only do this, right? You're out there to learn as much as you can, because you should not decide the rest of your career in the first 5 years of your career. So you never know. You could stumble upon a finance person and help them do some P&L management or something, right? Because you might be interested in finance and you didn't realize it, or tech or product or something. So just be very open-minded and try everything, and do a bit more than you should, because you want to be a helpful colleague, obviously. But on a selfish reason, you want to just learn what other people are doing so that you can then say, hey, maybe I've experienced different parts of the business, and I'm going to start picking one in a few years' time.
Yes, thank you so much. And I definitely agree with both of you, where this learning attitude, we can't stress it more than enough. Even when its knowledge is outside of where your scope of work is. Like, for example, if it's about P&L, you might learn something about finance, because you can't promise yourself that one day you don't want to change the direction of your career. You might want to hop into something else that may not be so relevant to you. So these kind of experiences would definitely be something helpful. And so I'll jump to the next question as well. So when hiring fresh graduates in particular, I mean, the both of you must have seen a lot of different CVs from fresh graduates all over the place. You must have seen a lot of them. And I'm definitely sure that a lot of them are very, very similar. They all have the common traces of they're all graduates and they have little to no history to their career. So what kind of CV actually stands out for you that isn't like these particular, okay, they've studied for 15 years and now they want to apply for their first job? What other qualities actually stands out for you outside of that?
If you don't mind, I'll take it, because I saw a lot of CVs recently, right? And you're right, because a fresh graduate CV is very difficult to judge, because the difference is, I mean, it's usually the same format. It's usually very little experience. It's a lot of extracurricular activities, and then maybe some side projects, and maybe there's a couple of years of internship here and there, and that's it, right? It's hard really for me to say, how you can stand out, because it's very difficult. Maybe I will take it this way. Let me tell you a few things I look out for CVs, and I know immediately I don't want to see this person. So let's call it the please do not make these mistakes kind of CV if you're a fresh grad. Number 1, grammatical errors. Number 2, typos. Number 3, please have proper spacing, pagination, proper formatting. Those very basic things. Like, please do not make those mistakes, because it turns me off totally, right? And I'll tell you why it turns me off totally, because I am a little bit anal about these things. But how it relates to work in digital marketing is that a lot of work that you do, especially, let's say you come in as an ad operations person, or if you're doing a campaign monitoring, or you're running a report, right? You need to look into tons and tons of details, right? So, I mean, ask Leonard, if someone puts a campaign in and they add an extra 0 at the end, instead of putting $5,000 daily budget, they put in 50,000, boom, that's gone, right? I mean, someone's in trouble for that. Or if someone runs a campaign summary report and you do a wrong formula somewhere, right? And that report comes up totally wrong. It gets presented to senior management. They get a wrong picture and they say, oh, the CPA is actually $5,000, unacceptable. It's a total screw up. So what I felt was that if you can't even be detailed and careful about your CV, which is your sales pitch, that means you're not very detail oriented. And, it makes me question whether I can rely on you for something that is really about money and the business.
Right, thank you. And Leonard?
Yeah, I think what Kevin said is very right. I'll give you a more like a traditional HR tip. I guess to me, I personally I don't have much chance to look at CV from a fresh grad, to be honest. But if I'm to hire a fresh grad for a digital marketing role, I'll definitely love to see like some experiences in digital marketing. It can be like internship, any kind of certificate. For that, I don't think it's a must to have a lot of knowledge in digital marketing for your when you're looking for your first job. However, it does show if if you have been doing some internships or certificate, it shows that you are really on this job or even on this discipline. And apart from this, I will say I will also like to see people who have participated in a wide range of activities. Well, I think for a marketers, it's usually you want to get a network. You can also want to have have the ability to relate to the others, and that's why I think if your CV can show you have been involved in a lot of different extracurricular activities, this will be a added benefit to me. I'll just share one example. I remember sometimes ago, I actually hired an intern. And what fascinates me about her CV is nothing but she changed her major from business to I think like political economy. And this shows to me actually she has some thinking in her third year. You usually like normally you wouldn't change your major right before your final year. But I think it's just because of this change I really appreciate. And I think there must be a thinking process behind it. And I value this thought process. And I think it's critical, especially in digital marketing, that you can show a clear mindset of what you want and the way you think through it. Because they are, like I said, in digital marketing, it involves a lot of data. And everyone can have his own way to interpret the data. And you have to have your thinking process set in order to draw your own insight or your own view. And that's why I think, yeah, these are just some of the tips that I can share with you.
Sure. Actually, I want to add, I just typed it in the chat. There are a lot of free courses and there's some free certifications. So Facebook's program is called Facebook Blueprint, and then Google has a similar program. Take those. If you want to make a CV look a bit more interesting and you're in the digital marketing space, then just take those two. It's actually free of charge. They actually give you a digital certificate. You can, add it in, whatever, right? All you need to do is spend some time on it. And it adds credibility to the fact that, you're really interested and you've invested time.
Yes, thank you very much, Kevin. And a bit of a heads up to our audience as well, because Kevin, he's a very busy man, and he has to attend to another meeting by 6 o'clock. So we will try to give him back 5 minutes of his time by 5:55. So we will actually end the panel discussion here, and shall we actually give it to the floor? And if anybody have any questions, please shoot them up. And our panelists are going to be able to try and help you in giving you more details and give you a bit of knowledge and share their own experiences. Okay, so we're waiting for the questions, and feel free to fill in the chat, and I'll read it out for you.
Is it okay to use table and CV better format? Should I type words and add some spacing? I'll take a stab, right? I personally prefer people typing words. just because I also, I mean, I talked about my pet peeve with grammars and all that, right? So I can see it better in that way, like how the person expresses themselves in words. And add some spacing. Yeah, just make sure you get enough white space. I mean, you know, and please don't use font size 8 or something. I mean, a decent font size, enough spacing, that kind of stuff. Just neat and tidy, because I think that goes a long way, right? It's just basic hygiene factor.
Yes. And
I second that. I personally also prefer words. I've seen CVs that are like very colorful with different visuals on it, but yeah, I will stick to the traditional ones just to be safe.
Yeah. So
if you start your
yeah, please carry on. Okay, so we have our next question here. If you get to start your career again, what would you do?
Leonard, you want to let you take a stab at this one first?
If I get to start my career again, what would I do? Wow. I always want to hope for the hot trend in the market. So when I first graduated, well, obviously Kevin has much more experience, over 20 years in digital marketing. But when I first dropped out from university, actually digital marketing was on a hot trend. So I guess it has been hot for like 20 years. But yeah, so that's why I picked digital marketing back then. If I'm to choose again, I think the next big trend will probably be like fintech, and and I do see some similarities in terms of job responsibility in fintech and digital marketing. Is still you still need to have a analytical mindset or digital mindset to move things. So I think, yeah, I'll pick fintech if I need to start my career again.
If I were to start my career again, I would be a lawyer, honestly. Just because over my business career, right, I paid so much to lawyers to read, to review legal documents, that I wish I was a lawyer. I could read these legal documents myself and understand it. But I would still pivot back into digital marketing. But I wish I studied law. But as you know, law is a very, can someone mute? As you know, law, I think it's quite a generalist degree these days, and it's a very strong foundation for whatever you do. So I would think I would do that, but I would still go back.
And thank you, Kevin.
That's kind of right. Cool question, now, right? I saw a few questions. So what else? Don't go big, don't go too small. 1 page or 2 page, it doesn't matter. I mean, don't squeeze everything into 1 page just because someone says and then make it font 6, right? If you have enough stuff for 2 pages, then put 2 pages. If you don't have enough stuff, then leave it as whatever you need it to be.
Yeah, and I think font size 12 will be good enough.
Yeah. Tomorrow,
Great.
Is intern experience being the most important criteria when you are recruiting? It is one of the criteria, but it's not the most important. I mean, if you have never interned before, then maybe if you have some other kind of work experience, that would be important. And I think that a lot of times, I think what's really important about being an intern, right, is what did you learn from it? You know, I personally, I don't really care what you did. You could be working at Abercrombie and Fitch or wherever and folding clothes, but I would really be interested about what did you learn from it. You know, if you worked at McDonald's, you know, as your part-time job, you know, I hope that you learn about communications and customer relationship, because I think that's super important. You know, or, you know, McDonald's, as much as you like or you don't like it, it is the world's largest restaurant chain. And you know what, in Hong Kong, it's 280 shops. At scale, they can launch, you know, a brand new burger and 300 stores get it. That type of operations is so difficult. And so maybe you can learn something deeper than just collecting money, right?
Yeah, I think either either you have a internship or not is not uh, the most important part in your CV. If you don't have any internships, what then you will have to ask yourself, what do you want to highlight in your CV? How do you want to make yourself stand out? It can be like you join a lot of activities out there, and I think this is just uh, uh, some lines that can get attention or get an eyeball of the recruiter. But how can you make sense of your experience in the interviews is more important. Like what Kevin just said, if you're working in a McDonald's, it can be like learning a way to learn customer service, or even you can say you learn the supply chain or how a McDonald's actually works, the processes, something like that, and you have to think about what things you want to learn and what story you want to tell in order to get on the job you want to have.
What are the new opportunities brought by the pandemic in digital marketing? I think the opportunities in digital marketing has always been there. It was just unrealized, the importance of it, until the pandemic happened. So I don't think it brought new opportunities. It just accelerated and highlighted the fact that we need to really use digital marketing to lower cost of sale, acquire new customers, and however your brand awareness, whatever it is, right, that your company sees digital marketing fit.
Yeah, and a lot of times, digital always also means agile, being flexible, like how you communicate with your customers. Maybe before you are still relying a lot on like traditional mails, but now you want to switch it to email or even WhatsApp. So these are just something that are get accelerated by the pandemic.
Do you think acquiring some skills, Google Ads, Facebook Ads? Absolutely. Again, like I said, it's free of charge. All you need is time. Some courses run longer, some courses run shorter, whatever. Just take that time and do it. I mean, the alternative is playing a video game. So go take the Google Ads or the Facebook Ads certification. Facebook Blueprint. Just search it on Google to find Facebook Blueprint. Sorry, Charles.
It's okay. Today I'm an IAB education committee member.
Yeah, if you want to get a job on Birdie, you may want to play the Birdie game as well.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yeah. So do you think experiences like in a club or a student union are important for a CV?
I've never really put much of an importance in, someone participating in a club or a student union. I think what's really important is how you talk about the experience. Like I said, it could be the same thing as working at McDonald's, right? Did you learn something about being in a student union, whether you're in a leadership position or you're a participant? I want to hear about what that experience taught you.
Yeah, and I would say it depends on what you want to highlight for yourself. If you're a blank paper, it's hard to get the recruiter's eyeball. And for me, personally, I study media studies, like media communications, at my university. But I actually highlighted in my CV. I actually did a consulting project with one of the large retail chain in the US. I put it on my CV, and I do think it helps me to get the eyeball of the recruiter, because the project I did actually is nothing related to marketing, and actually a lot of the courses I took in my university are business courses instead of just like communication or marketing courses. And I think this will help you to give the recruiter a thinking that, or an impression that, oh, this candidate actually has something unique. Yeah, it's always about storytelling and how you want to highlight what you want to tell the recruiter. You can imagine the recruiter has been like reading tens of thousands, hundreds or thousands CVs every day, and how do you want to make yourself stand out is the key.
Yes, definitely agree to that because like echoing what you two just said, it's not being in the club that actually helps you, but what you did in the club that relates to the job that they're hiring for right now is actually more relevant. So what kind of impact that you created while being a club member, what kind of initiatives that you've taken that is actually aligned with the requirements of the job, the job description that's being written is actually more important than being part of a club itself. So do we have any more questions here? I think we have time for one more, if anybody on the floor has more questions.
Actually, Charles, why don't you share your career? You have an interesting career path too.
Oh yes,
Sorry, I put you on the spot since there was no questions.
Very quick introduction since everybody introduced themselves. I've had about 16 years of digital experiences. I spent about 12 and a half years of that in general marketing. I was very jumpy. I've been in agencies, I've been in-house, I've done e-commerce, global scale e-commerce, US e-commerce. I've been all over the place. Trust me, I've spent a good 12 and a half years learning a lot of different things as a marketer. And then after the 12 and a half years, for the past 4 years or so, I've been on the publisher side. I've been in an English newspaper in Hong Kong that was in their digital department, in their digital advertising department. And now I work for Facebook. So I think as a digital person, regardless you're on a buy side or you're on a sell side, that never stop learning attitude is so important, and it really has helped me along in my career, because if I just fall behind for a couple of months, or maybe if I feel like being lazy and I just don't want to learn anything for a year, I think the career itself would actually slowly come to a halt, and I will start to become irrelevant if I try to apply whatever experiences that I've had from last year to apply everything to this year. Because of COVID, everything has changed, and you know, things are just not the same anymore. And I think that's definitely a very important kind of an experience or an attitude that you have to have.
And if one of the students want to, I'm gonna ask you questions. We have 5 more minutes.
Oh yeah.
If someone wants to work get a job at Facebook, how would a young graduate work towards getting a job at Facebook? I mean, it is a very aspirational company. It's one of the top companies I think people want to work at if it's digital marketing. What do you recommend they do to get a job at Facebook?
Okay, first of all, don't hold me responsible for what I'm about to say, because I'm not from the recruiting side of Facebook.
No, but just the path.
But I can actually tell you about my own experiences, and maybe some of my peers, what they went through in terms of going through that recruitment stages, that how they went into Facebook. So I think curiosity, one, is definitely going to be the number one thing that you need to understand. And then for companies, regardless of Facebook or outside of Facebook, any other company that you want to be joining, you want to understand their culture. There's got to be some kind of PR materials, some press releases that they must have been communicating about their company values. You've got to understand that, and how that is going to be aligned with you and be your genuine self. And you have to understand that whether your genuine self actually aligns with these different company values, because it's very easy for an interviewer to see through a candidate when you go in there, when you don't sound convincing, when you don't look convincing to be part of that, to be aligned with their company values. It's very easy for them to tell. So be comfortable. Don't try and polish yourself up too much and cover that real you too much. Just be yourself. I think authenticity is something that we look for as well. And a lot of the newer companies as well, and even some of the older companies, they encourage their employees to fail. You know, be more, you know, you give yourself an adventure. You know, don't try and stick to the old ways and be safe, because you're never going to find the next breakthrough. Not for your company, not for your department. So so you got to display some of your qualities, that, you know, what kind of things, very typical ways of the interview nowadays that you commonly see here. You get three types of question. Sorry, they expect three types of answers from you within one single answer. When they ask you a question, they want you to tell them a problem statement, what kind of problems or obstacles that you faced in your experience. It doesn't matter whether you're studying, whether you're working. They want to know what kind of problem statement you faced and what kind of approach you took and what were the results. These are the very typical things that they want to hear. And if you get a chance for an interview, I think it's very important to help them visualize, okay, what kind of problem you faced, okay, what kind of initiatives that you took, and what kind of results. It may have been 10 times better, it may have been 10 times worse, but at least you had findings there in terms of your experiences.
Great, you're a great panelist, Charles. But
you're a great moderator.
Sorry, I think there's a question. Let's see. Do you think it's possible for a non-Canon speaker to become a marketer in Hong Kong? Do you guys want to take this?
Yeah, I can take this.
Yeah.
Haven't we?
Yeah, I actually know a lot of people who are non-Cantonese speaker, and they are marketing in Hong Kong. Either they are in agencies or in-house, or even in the technology provider vendor side. I don't see I don't see a particular challenge in the digital marketing area. There are actually a lot of skill sets. For example, UX UI, which means like user experience and customer experience, digital analytics. So and also like creative development or media placement. So obviously, if you are a Cantonese speaker, you will probably have some advantage or benefit in crafting crafting messages to the consumers. But in terms of digital analytics or even UX UI, probably all you need to do is to deal with data. You just need to have the analytical mindset to understand what is happening, and it doesn't have any language requirement. So I don't think it's a necessary to be a Cantonese speaker to become a marketer in Hong Kong.
I echo that. I think whilst it is a disadvantage, I would think another way. How do you shine in other ways? So yes, if you can't speak my Cantonese, but I'm really good at numbers. And so I think a good employer would actually say, you know what, it's okay that this person is not a Cantonese speaker, but we really can't find someone who is that great at being analytical, and we've got to hire this person. I think that's really important. So, but there are lots of non-Cantonese speakers who are in very high level positions in Hong Kong, in other parts of the world, and it works. So don't let it deter you.
Right, and we have come to time for the end of today, and thank you very much for both of you for joining us and sharing a lot of your knowledges and experiences to our audiences. It's been a very fruitful day. So, and hi, Alvina, do you have something that you want to mention before we close?
Yes, so please give a round of applause to our speakers and moderator. Thank you, Charles, for wonderful moderating. So just further echoing what Anne was asking, from our employees here, actually a few of them are actually founded by non-Cantonese speaking people like Harvest, Sinclair, and Eternity. So what I'm trying to say is that Hong Kong is a very international city, so especially in the digital marketing world. So a lot of the employers actually foreigners or just non-Cantonese speaking. So don't worry. I mean, like what the speakers said, I think highlight your strength and find your own strength. I think that's most important. So please click the link I've shared again to participate. Although the deadline is on the 10th of May, but we actually start the interview earlier if we could, because we do expect quite a lot of CVs coming in. So a small review of tomorrow. A lot of people have asked about like all the CV, LinkedIn stuff. I just want to say that tomorrow we actually have the link of Client Solutions Manager from LinkedIn, Chapman, to join us tomorrow. Who will be sharing about how to set up your professional LinkedIn profile, and also talking about jobs finding. We have Wang from CP Jobs, who will be sharing tips on how to write a good CV for digital marketing, and also how to shine in your video interview. So please join us again tomorrow at 5 to 6. And if you like today's survey, please today's event, please fill up the survey and follow us on our Facebook, LinkedIn page for more updates. So I guess that's all for now. So thank you very much for coming today. So I'll see you again tomorrow.